Hey, 서로 다른 nation은 너와 날 나누지만 왜 그래?
So when a fan hears a song like this, Rise, Fly Up, they probably look at the music video and styles and choreography. And nobody would actually question, well, how this song is actually made. It is a result of from the web of a global collaboration. So this song was actually written by four people, two of them from Norway, from Trondheim, one from Oslo, and one is actually from London, living in Korea. It was written here in Seoul last September in my studio complex. And small idea flew thousands of miles and merged it into the emotional vocabulary in the studio, and now echoed in the stadium, in your playlist, and your heart. So this is not just an exception. This is actually how modern K-pop is created. So what I like to share today is invisible architecture of a global collaboration. So before we move on, then you might actually wonder how the K-pop is created. You probably think that the person just sitting in the piano and working on it, or a person just in the studio, just staying in front of the computer and then just come up with something. But the session normally consists of two major roles: one or two producers, one or two top liners in the studio. So producers are responsible for creating the beat, creating the arrangement, sound design, and record a vocal. In the end, they have to mix and master the demo, while top liners are writing the melody on top of the track and writing the lyrics, and eventually they get to sing the demo vocal. And so in the sessions, it's like building the house. Producer building the foundation, and the top liners building the decorations and what to put in as a furniture in the room. So those type of a setup with the multiple sessions on the same day, continuously going for multiple days, that is called the song camp, like a boot camp. So people actually gather, 30 people in the studio. So they get the brief in the morning, random combination of the roster, just go into the studio and come up with something. By the end of the day, you have the song. So in the beginning of the process, there were 3 days given for the writers. And then, no, it was 2 days given for the writers, and then they have to finish one song. And still, that feels daunting. I mean, 2 days a song. So from the blank canvas, and then they just communicate, and then come up with something, and starting producing and songwriting. And then in the meantime, technology develops, and then there are people who are quick clicking mouse, so it becomes 1.5 day a song, and now new norm is a day a song. She's monumental. And now you guys know a little bit of context of how a song comes to life. So let's dive into how the K-pop is evolved, as we know as a K-pop. So in the beginning of 2000s, early 2000s, before we even call it K-pop internationally, something interesting started to happen. So SM Entertainment started to import the song that is already produced in Scandinavia, Europe, and America to see whether, this could actually work for our artists. Let's see. So it probably needed a little bit of audacity to try something different, and maybe a courage and confidence to foresee the potentials. So probably high-polished, clear structure, and well-made pop music can be an alternative for the K-pop or Korean pop music. So at that times, on the chart, there were just the songs that is conventional formats, or like a local dance pop or ballads. But then Girls' Generation Genie, 소녀시대의 소원을 말해봐, or TVX, because Mirotic, 동방신기의 주문. Those type of songs actually stand out a little bit more because it was different from existing catalogs on the chart. So in that, I mean, I wouldn't call it this is actually a starting point of a K-pop, but it triggered because it wasn't just a business transaction. It was actually a creative shift so that we can actually embrace different phase of a K-pop. So people wondered, I mean, you know, we are tired of importing the song, so why don't we just co-create? Why don't we just collaborate? So Korean songwriters and producers, including me, started to visit the Nordic countries and participate in these song camps. So we go to Song Expo, Trondheim in Norway. We go to Helsinki to participate in Song Castle and go to Camp Fantasia in Stockholm. So those are the beginning process of co-creating this culture and concept of K-pop. And also from the record labels, like including SM and former Hype, Big Hit Entertainment, they sending out the A&Rs to these camps. So send out their project briefs and asking to the writers in the morning, so we need these type of songs in this type of vein. Can you create something for us? Hit. We need only hit. So that was the process. So this started to kind of becoming interesting mixture of collaboration. And people who visited all these song camps and then wonder, yeah, I mean, this is great, this works, creative strategy. Why don't we just implement into the Korean system? So there was a first ever international song camp in Korea in 2012. It was called the Seoul Calling, and it was co-hosted by Design Music, Universal Publishing, Music Publishing Korea, and SM Entertainment. And The Wolf by EXO, 늑대와 미녀, was born in that camp. So when we just think about this collaboration, we started as importing the song. So we think that, oh yeah, we're just getting the influence from the international side. But it was a two-way communication. International songwriters from US, Europe, coming to Korea and feel the vibe, learn the culture, and feel the tempo of the city. That was the starting point of a true collaboration. So since then, up to 2020, so Korea and Seoul became a creative hub. So everyone actually get to know what the songwriting is, songwriting camp is, and also what is the collaboration is. Then people actually want to visit Korea because they get to actually meet the labels, meet the artists, meet the songwriters who are actually extremely established, so that the people actually kept coming back, and that started the snowball. So when you see the credits of a Korean pop, you get to see a lot of different names. And that's how this paradigm shifted and then nurture those perspectives. And as we know, pandemic, the world closed, border just was done, flight canceled, in-house session, nothing else. But then what doesn't stop is the collaboration. So people get to use the Zoom and sending the files via Dropbox. And I must admit, it was very clunky in the beginning. You know, when you have the Zoom call and then you have, can you get me, those type of things. And imagine someone actually singing on top of your track and then having this thing. But then this nurture the youngcomer as well as the top liners who doesn't know how to operate the studio equipment, because they get to actually sing the song and record themselves. So producer also realized, oh, without the top liners, I can't do anything. So they get to know the diversities and differences, but also triggered another emotional value that, oh, I really want to visit Korea. I really want to feel that atmosphere and go there. So the urge and desire actually was triggered even more. So when the border is finally opened up, international writers started to visit Korea again for the sessions, major companies like Hive, SM, JYP, YG, they were actually hosting a song camp. So now, when I actually see my old friend, and then, oh, hey, how long are you staying here? I actually live here. Oh, how? So many overseas writers now move to Korea to stay current, then learn the culture, and then to facilitate the local labels. So, if the last decade is about, within K-pop, was about creating this creative community, now it becomes more about building the infrastructure and the ownership. So historically, music publisher is kind of behind the scene. They're registering songs, administering the copyrights, collecting the royalties, and then dealing with all these paperwork and contracts. So not actually in front, but Korean publishers establishing more active partnership with individuals and the companies. So SM Entertainment invested the creation music rights, which is KMR, which I'm involved with. We are focusing on this creative strategy. We are hosting international song camps. We are nurturing these younger generations so that they can actually get inspired and also stay current and then work together like this. So Korea, not only Korea, but K-pop has become a creative hub that connects all the dots and to embrace the diversities, diverse sound, diverse perspectives and intentions. So, I'm talking about the system and the structure and history and the infrastructure. It becomes a little bit boring and serious. But I started my career as a music producer, and I'm still producing, but I was just so obsessed with the little things, sound, texture, and who's good at what. And when you are put into the session, then this guy actually can sing, this girl can actually write a great lyrics. Then you have a map of all these vast networks with the different parameters. And then when I grew into the executive, then I know, okay, I have to use this parameter to make this ecosystem. So when I enter the room, and then when I can feel these guys are actually vibing, the energy is just so synced up, then I know my job is done. So as a A&R executive, I don't just pick up songs. I actually create this bridge between the cities, between the people, between the intentions. A&R means artist and repertoire, but I think at the highest level, I think it should hold the meaning of alignment and resonance. So when we talk about crossover, we have talked about crossover for six hours now. So crossover in music, you probably think that isn't it just like a genre fusing, combining experiment, or is it just a mix or fusion? For me, for 20-something year of experiencing and working within music industry, I've come to realize that crossover is not combining things. It's about listening. It's about accepting and allowing and understanding the difference. It's not about diluting the identities. It's about holding the space for someone to shine. So to be able to to see those who were completely strangers, total strangers in the morning, and then by the end of the day, they come up to me, Jin, I met a friend. No, I made a family for life. To hear that. And at the end of the session, an artist came up to me and she is crying. Why? What happened? No, Jin, I made a song of life. That is something. That is the alignment. So within this alignment between the people, between the energies, between the frequencies, something universal start to happen. So we don't just create sound, we create meaning. So that's how I believe we get to hear and feel the rhythm of our music. So thank you very much.